Hey everybody, Ray here. Today I'm going to make a more organized way to store my squares and rulers. I normally keep them up on my pegboard, but you all know how that goes. When you're pulling things off the pegboard, the hooks come loose, they fall down on your workbench, you got to find them, put them back up. It's just kind of an annoyance. So I want to have a more compact and organized way to more permanently store these tools. If you want to see how I do this, stick around, I'll show you. And don't forget, hit that like button for me if you would. I'd really appreciate it. So to make this, I'm just going to use some scraps out of my scrap bin. I've got a piece of white pegboard here, which I'll use as the backing, and that'll match really well to the pegboard that I've got up there now. I need to make this, if this is my layout, about 20 inches wide and 15, 16 inches deep. This pegboard is 16 1/4 deep. That's about perfect. So I just need to cut some width out of this and then start to lay out how I'm going to glue the pieces on here to hold these tools in this way. So this is kind of how I think that this ought to lay out. Everything is compact enough on the backboard here, and yet there's plenty of room for me to get my fingers in and grab the tools out that I need. So I think what I'll do next is kind of go across here and lightly mark out where these things are going to be in pencil. Then I can try to figure out each one of these will have kind of a unique size holder in order to set this on. For example, this one will probably need to be thicker than this one. And this one probably thicker than this one. So I'm going to start playing with that and see what scraps I can use to do this. To hang my carpenter square and engineer square, the first thing I did was I want them to be able to sit into something. So I just ran a little groove here about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. Now what I'm going to do is just cut this piece off here so I've got something to glue to my pegboard. Now you'll notice when I do this, I'm using a feather board. I have a great deal of respect for these table saws, and anytime I think my fingers are going to be close to the saw blade itself, I try to use a feather board. First two to hang my carpenter square and this triangle here actually were pretty easy. I just took a little block, I cut out a groove such that when I put it up there it'll have something to hang in, and then I cut 3 or 4 of these till I got exactly the length I was comfortable with. So those two are done. Now let's move over here and see what we can do with these. Now for the 2 combination squares, I just had to cut one piece that's about about 1/2 inch thick and just tall enough such that it was a little taller than each one of my combination squares here. And then I cut a little 1/8 inch strip here by about a little better than 1/2 inch, and I'll just glue that to the front of this strip. That way it'll hold the weight going down here and they won't flip off of that little shelf because this will hold them on. Now I did the same thing for this square because it's a little taller than I did for these 2 combination squares. These squares are all a little different. They're not quite as thick. So what I was able to do is just to take a board and notch it like that by cutting this way and then cutting this way. And then this will fit right on there like that. And then I could use that same notch and just cut the different lengths for all 4 of these. So that went pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do now is take what I've gotten here so far and I'm going to start to glue it up. I'm just going to use some CA glue and accelerator because I want to do this pretty quickly. Gluing these pieces is going very quickly. I just pencil marked where I wanted each one of them to go. And then I put my CA glue on the little piece and then lined it up on that line to make sure it was straight. Hold it for 10 seconds and it's ready to go. So each one of these pieces already has the CA glue on it, and where the line is, I've sprayed the accelerant. So it's just a matter of lining this up and trying to keep it straight while I stick it on there. And then just to catch any of the CA glue that might have leaked out of there and didn't harden yet, I'll just spray a little extra accelerator on there. And those pieces are ready to go. Now to mount this, I just put it kind of in the center of this shelf here. I like things to be a little bit centered. And then I'm just going to put a couple of wood screws in, right into the pegboard that's behind it. It's not going to take much weight, and it doesn't have to be extremely tight. It just needs to hold it up there. That'll do it right there. Now everything is fitting on here really well, except that the blade on this one square is heavier than the handle. So it doesn't want to sit square in there. Well, I can't have a square not sit square. So all I did was I took a little block of wood and I put some CA glue on there. I'll just kind of slip that just above there on the very edge. Hold that for a second. Now with that block on there, when it's time to put this guy away, we'll just slide him in there and just under that block, and he stays nice and square for me. Well, I'm pretty happy with our little square measuring tool caddy here. It keeps everything much more organized and in a much more compact space, and I won't be pulling those silly pegboard hooks out every time I come and grab a tool. I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, don't forget, give me that thumbs up if you would. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.